Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 4 brand new volume 1s that I recently read, so this is a first impressions video. 3 of them happen to be courtesy of Yen Press, so shout out to them for sending these review copies my way. And the 4th book might be the second ever not safe for work manga that I've reviewed on the channel, so that's an achievement, I guess, right? I don't know, who cares? The first one that I'm going to talk about is I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History, with the subtitle reading, "It seems turning into a highborn baddie makes the prince all the more love-struck." This is the first volume of this series, again published by Yen Press, written by Akari Hoshi. The original story written by Izumi Okido, with character designs by Jun Hayase. Hope I pronounced all that correctly. So this book, I had absolutely no idea what it was about. I went in completely blind, and unfortunately you consume enough anime and manga where you can easily tell what the story is going to lean towards just by the title alone. So judging from this, I assumed this was going to be an otome based isekai type story, and I was right. This is about a young girl that gets reincarnated into one of her favorite otome games, a dating sim visual novel type game, where she is put in the role of the villainess called Alicia Williams. Alicia, you know, her being a fan of the game, she knows the path that this character is going to take, so she is excited for the possibilities because at the end of the day she has a lot more in common and sees herself more as a villainous character, not out of malicious intent, but I guess more of she's not necessarily going to follow the rules and wants to be someone that goes down in history in this game, of course, as a rebel, as a villainous character that upset the status quo. So it's not necessarily about the true definition of a villainous character. So when Alicia is reincarnated into this game, it takes her a little bit for her to gain her memories, but when she does, she starts setting her plans in motion. First, as a young kid, I believe she's 7 or 8 years old, she starts to be more independent and take care of herself, not depending on her maids, because she comes from a prestigious family of wealth in this nation that at first does not look out for the little guy, and the differences in class and wealth is very apparent. So Alicia not only decides to take care of herself, but also train to become a stronger person, not just mentally, but physically as well. She has brothers and tells them to help train her in swordplay. At first, they laugh it off, but she wants to do it, sets her mind to it, and trains every day and reads all the books that she can, learning about this world, from the politics to things like plants and medicine and even magical elements. Eventually, she does learn these things and is able to practice swordplay. At the same time, she's introduced to other characters that might be part of the different royal families, as well as the prince, the son of the king of this nation. Now, what's interesting about meeting the actual prince is that he is, according to the lore of the game that our main character follows, he is supposed to fall in love with the main heroine, which is completely different from our main protagonist. Alicia is inhabiting the role of the villainess, so they are supposed to be at odds with each other. But it doesn't really go that route, and this is where the manga flips the story on its head, and I thought it was actually pretty fun. Alicia, she tries her hardest, but in her quote-unquote villainess, she actually ends up doing heroic main character things, whether it be looking out for people from the suburbs or the boonies, if you will, the disenfranchised, or just being politically aware of the faults of their nation. She actually ends up caring about the system, which comes into conflict with her belief that she has to be this ruthless, ice-cold villainess that spares no one and just wants to have everything at the palm of her hand. One of my favorite scenes, or 2 of my favorite scenes, happen to be when Alicia is by herself and she's encountering new things like sneaking out at night and venturing into the poor sections of the countryside, if you will, and she's super scared going in, in and is using foul language in her vocabulary, which really caught me off guard. I was not expecting that type of language from this particular manga. And the other part of the story that I really liked is her talking with the king sort of wanting to know what she thought of the political spectrum, the situation, that how the nation's doing and what she would do to change things here and there. And she tries her hardest to give the most villainous response ever, but it comes off more as a genuine critique of the government instead, which I thought was pretty hilarious. The art on this is great too. It complements the cuteness of the character while also highlighting the nobility with all the fancy costumes and the architecture of the buildings, stuff that they do. It all looks pleasantly well. This one was a lot of fun. There's a lot of humor to be had, specifically with Alicia. There are certain tropes which you've seen before if you've read stories like this, where it's otome game based, or if it's just a reincarnation villainous type story. But the twist with the characterization of our protagonist is what makes it, in my opinion, a pretty fun series. The next one is somewhat similar in style, but the story is completely different, and this out of the four was the biggest surprise. I am looking forward to volume 2 wholeheartedly. What am I talking about? The small animal-like lady is adored by the Ice Prince. I really like this, and it made me laugh out loud at times. This is based on a light novel by Hisui. This manga adaptation is drawn by Mugi Sawai. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Probably not. I apologize. Character designs by Agu Ao. Again, this one is also published by Yen Press, and in this one we follow the character of Liliana. She is the daughter of an earl. Now, in this kingdom, fortunately, it is not an isekai. It is not a reincarnation story. It's not based on a video game. It's not otome based, none of that. This is straightforward fantasy slash little historical fiction, if you will, even though it's a fictional nation, but you catch my drift. Now, in this kingdom, they will typically host parties where they are trying to find suitable fiancés for the prince. In particular, Prince William, who's known as the Ice Prince. His other two brothers have already found their significant others, I guess, and now it is Prince William's turn. He is called the Ice Prince because he can never crack a smile. He is super serious, strictly bound by his duty as a prince, as a member of the royal family, and he does not mess around. He is a super strict individual. Now, the fun twist here is that Liliana, like I mentioned, daughter of an earl, she is selected to be part of this party as a suitable candidate, but she doesn't really care. She doesn't want to be there and is trying everything possible not to stand out so she doesn't get picked. Thankfully, her family also agrees and don't want her to be married to the prince. Right out of the first page, William just nonchalantly picks her as the suitable fiance. She's dumbstruck and does not know what to do. And as you flip the page, we go back in time to catch up and learn about these characters. And you know that she is a true free spirit, marching at the beat of her own drum, doesn't care about this whole marriage thing. I believe she's 16 or 17 and would rather just have time to goof around and enjoy life and eat good food and have friends and just have a great time instead of the protocol that you would expect from royalty and all that stuff. At the party, she had the idea to dress as plain as possible so that she would blend in with her surroundings so as not to stand out too much. She instead wanted to go to the banquet and eat all the catering at this royal party, and that was one of the funniest aspects to me, because who wouldn't want to do that? Eat all the finer foods and just have a good time and leave and not have to worry about anything. But it's the fact that she is so anti-establishment and anti the glitz, glamour, and glitter from the other candidates, the other girls, that she did stand out, and William took notice and just said, like, she'll do, and her reactions are phenomenal. Part of what makes this a very enjoyable read is that humor, specifically with the reactions and facial expressions of the characters. Liliana is highly expressive and and she is super energetic in her frenzy of not wanting this to happen, but everything is happening so that it will take place. She can't fight against fate, if you will. It is supposedly meant to be. So the rest of the series after chapter 1 is her coming to terms with what is happening, meeting the royal family, the king and queen, and getting to know William. William is struck by her and her sincerity when it comes to food and speaking her mind, which makes him curious enough to say, yeah, I'll go ahead and marry this girl. Not only she's my fiance, but yes, I will be married to her, which comes as a further shock to Liliana, who wants nothing more than to set a bad example for herself so then she can be dumped and return back home and not have to deal with the craziness. But unfortunately, it doesn't go her way, and after these unsuccessful attempts, the rest of the first volume is her learning about the customs of the castle and the different characters and getting to know William as a person. He's not as ice cold as you would think. He has a reason for his shyness, for his sternness and seriousness, and that does get explored towards the end of the book. I'm not necessarily going to reveal it in case you want to find out, but there's more to him than just the stereotypical ice cold man that he's shutting off his emotions. There's a little bit more to him than that. And also, one of the best aspects for this book is, well, two things. The brisk pace at which the story takes place is very fun. It's very talkative, quick-paced, and you'll be flipping through this in no time. And it's highly complemented by the art. I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed the character designs. Specifically, Liliana, with all her shocked reactions, made this for a very funny read overall. I can't wait for more. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did, but I'm a fan. I can't wait. I highly recommend it. If you're in the business for laughter, please do consider The Small Animal-Like Lady is adored by the Ice Prince. The third book here from Yen Press is 86 Operation High School. This is an adaptation of the 86 franchise, which is composed of light novels, manga, anime. I'm pretty sure there's a video game somewhere, and now we have this manga spin-off set in an alternate reality, if you will. This is by Suzume Somemiya, the original story from Asato Asato, the character designs from Shirabi, and the mechanical designs from 1 through 4, which is an odd pen name, but pretty cool. So what is this about? Well, it's a little complicated because I was struggling as I was reading this, thinking of what I was going to say for this video. This is based off a pre-existing franchise where it is unlike what you're going to find here. 86 is a story about a republic, a fictional republic in the near future that is at war with a neighboring country, and it deals with topics like genocide, colonialism, racism, and segregation, where you have the 86, which are segregated people that are forced to fight for the main republic, which are kind of the bad guys, and the 86 are viewed more as a unit number, and their value and their humanity is completely ignored by, I believe it's the Republic of San Magnolia. But one of the sadder plot twists in the original story is that the citizens of this nation do not know that the 86 exist. They only think that these are unmanned drone, high military, technologically advanced units that are autonomously piloted by the army or whatever. But the truth is that these segregated people are forced into being pilots for the army and are the 86. They are led by a rookie officer who communicates via long distance, and she is Vladilena Milize, and I'm probably butchering her name. I do apologize for that. I'm horrible with names in these military type European inspired manga and anime. And she's only a young girl. So we follow the story of how she's trying to fight against the systemic racism within the nation while also helping the 86 pilots with their drones and all that stuff and their combat against the neighboring army. So it's a very heavy series. There are hints of humor because of the characters' ages, them being teenagers and young adults, but for the most part, it is a drama through and through. It's a military type series or franchise. So here we have a fun spin-off that is taking place in an alternate reality where none of this ever happened. There's no war, there's no segregation, there's no racism. We follow the 86 as they go to high school, and it's just episodic adventures of the main cast of the original going through school and experiencing what we all take for granted in our reality, where we go to school, fall in love, go do sports and festivals, take exams, all the trials and tribulations of being a teenager in the modern 21st century. That is what you'll find here through mini chapters. There's a lot because this is essentially a 2-in-1 where we collect all these stories. So if you are a huge fan of 86, I think you need to check this out because it is such a breath of fresh air to have a drama-free version of these lovely characters that you care about when you read the original novel or you watch the anime or you read the original manga as well. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It brought a smile to my face. But the dilemma here is, can you recommend it to someone that has never read 86? And you definitely can read Operation High School without knowing anything about the 86 franchise, but you're gonna miss out on so much. You're gonna miss out on the details on the main characters, who they are, the drama and relationship, and all the tribulations that they go through in the original story. Experiencing that and then going into this makes it worthwhile. But yes, do be aware that you can read it by itself because again, it's only like chapters of teenagers doing teenager things in school, and it's a lot of fun. It's wholesome, it's sweet, it's funny at times, and just a nice breath of fresh air like I mentioned. So do consider maybe watching the show, which you can easily stream, or getting into the light novels and maybe jumping back into Operation High School. It's a fairly quick read. It's a lengthy book, but again, the chapters are only a handful of pages, so everything will pass by real quick. Last but not least, we have our second ever not safe for work manga review on the channel. This is not by Yen Press. This is Monster Marriage Shock Volume 1, published by Seven Seas Entertainment, part of their Ghost Ship label. This has a heavy parental advisory sticker, explicit content, and that explicit content relates to sex. There's a lot of nudity here and implied sexual content. You don't see anything aside from one or two random scenes, but it isn't as bad as you might think. It's mostly suggestive, and if you do not want to see big personalities on your manga pages, then this is not the book for you. Why did I pick this up? I'm still not sure. I guess it's the fact that I am a fan of the Monster Girl subgenre. I like it. It's fun. Sometimes they go a little overboard with the craziness, which I don't necessarily dig, but for the most part, it's pretty tame, and I like the whole idea of like a harpy character or a Medusa type creature that does whatever. And in this case, we follow a werewolf lady, which I thought was pretty cool. So this is about a young adult named Nakao Yuto, who is a professional matchmaker. He's a bit of a mama's boy. He is deeply attached to his mother, which nothing bad there, but she had terrible relationship issues, and all through her life, she's been trying to remarry and find the perfect spouse after her first husband passed away. So Yuto has experienced a childhood of revolving emotions as one man enters in and another one leaves. She might have hooked up with someone that promised a life of adventure and romance, but was actually looking for an adventure by cheating on his wife with Yuto's mom. So it's that type of trauma that kind of resulted in him becoming a matchmaker, trying to find love for his mother, which is weird and questionable. There's a lot of humor related to that, which I know will kind of disturb and alienate some people, but I found found it more of a gag joke, a throwaway humor, and not literally jokes about his fetishy obsession with his mom. So he's a professional matchmaker in the present time. He's helped dozens of clients, and one particular night he ventures into the side of a forest and doesn't know what's happening. He is chased by what turns out to be a werewolf lady, and they enter Monster Town, which is sort of like a pocket dimension in the middle of Japan where it's hidden away from people. But if you're not magically sensible or in tuned with that, you're not gonna go in, you're not gonna find it. So he ventures into Monster Town, and you see all the different creatures. There are some like European monsters, like vampires, Frankenstein monsters, that sort of thing, werewolves, angels, demons, succubus. But then you have yokai characters as well, which is really fun. And I think that was the main appeal. I thought, hey, I'm building a collection of monster related books. That's my thing. I love the creature horror stuff. I love yokai, which I've talked at length on this channel before. So I guess I wanted something fun, smut, spicy at the same time, just to complement the collection, and randomly picked up volume 1. So long story short, Yuto ends up befriending the werewolf character, which happens to be Ururu, a werewolf that inherited a big estate from her family. She has a lot of money, and she is kind of intimidating for a lot of the other monsters. So she doesn't have a good love life, no boyfriend, no life partner, no nothing. So it is obvious from their first encounter that the story is being set up where Ururu is falling for the character of Yuto. He's a little bit too clueless and naive to figure it out, but along the way they form a partnership, and he's going to earn some income by matchmaking couples in Monster Town, and Ururu is going to help him do it. He set up shop in her mansion, and every chapter we get introduced to different characters. Some do stick around. There's a succubus that was Ururu's friend growing up in school, so she does appear again, and that gets super raunchy. And then there's a teacher that happens to be a Medusa, Gorgon type character. She was also another friend of Ururu, and they all kind of fall for Yuto, you know, the whole harem type trope, but he's too clueless to figure out what's happening, aside from the horny situations that the characters get themselves in. I do like the art a lot, and it's not for the reason you're thinking, although I guess that does contribute, but there is a lot of nudity sprinkled throughout the book, so I'm having a tough time censoring this overview, so I do hope you can appreciate the art that I'm showing here without being bothered by me censoring all the naughty bits. But I do like the character designs. A very sincere, silly, goofy story that doesn't really take itself too seriously. It knows what it's trying to do. It's just having fun with the tropes of monster creatures by giving you a little bit more in life, spicing it up, because life is a buffet, right? And you gotta sample stuff out there. So this book takes that to a whole nother degree by showing us monster creatures trying to find love, which at the end of the day, I guess is what we're all kind of doing, right? Again, if you don't mind any of that stuff, I think you'll find Monster Marriage Shop pretty entertaining, pretty silly, pretty fun. Go check it out if that's your thing. Anyways, Monster Marriage Shop, I did get a kick out of it. All right, so there it is. 4 new manga that I read, some first impressions for all of you. Thank you to the folks at Yen Press for the first 3 books in this review. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and being a part of Manga Geekdom. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share the video, all that fun stuff. You know what to do. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of these 4 volumes if you've read them. And if you haven't, recommend me stuff that's similar that you think I would want to check out and talk about on YouTube. That's going to be it for now. God bless, stay safe everyone. I will catch all of you on our next video.